Well, good morning, everyone. Thomas Montgomery with IIMFL and Smart Money Alliance. It's a beautiful Wednesday morning, April 21st, 2021. We get together at this time most weekdays with our distribution partners. We talk about different tactics, strategies, updates, and address your questions and concerns. Today, we have a bit of a blended lesson, but I think will strike a chord for many of you in terms of its importance and maybe better meeting some of the market demand. So on the left-hand side, we have our agenda for the day, which was created specifically for today. That's why it's dated, although it's dated wrong, isn't it? Let's fix that for April 21st. And then on the right-hand side, we're on the smartmoneyalliance.org website, and there's a page called the funding proposal. This is not a new page. It's been around for as long as I remember. So we're going to talk about two kind of blended topics today. And those would be free funding proposals and the fast track funding option. So our 501c3 nonprofit creates funding proposals for entrepreneurs looking for capital or to grow business. And so what does that mean? It means that many small businesses have a desire for capital to start and grow, but they're not always thinking about going through a 4-week process. They're not always thinking about the steps and the literacy. Some of them just want the results. And so while we really love the Access to Capital program, it builds financial literacy over a 4-week curriculum, we know that some people are just drawn to the results, not necessarily the learning and preparation along the way. Well, for those folks, driving them in for a funding proposal might be a good option. We'll talk more about that. So when we're going in for the funding proposal, it, again, does not require the normal 4-week process. So it's quicker. There aren't the lessons, there aren't the tasks that they normally would go through with our normal Access to Capital, the full curriculum. And so keep in mind, when we talk about the fast track funding, it is not a different offering. It is a track underneath Access to Capital. So it's not something where you just go enroll someone in fast track funding, but you certainly could take someone for a funding proposal for us to determine if they qualify for fast track. But let's talk more, and I think it'll make more sense. The URL that we've had for quite a while is fundingproposal.org, but quite frankly, it points right here, and that's why I'm showing you this page. So we don't have a separate website on fundingproposal.org. Instead, it's directed to this page here on Smart Money Alliance. The pitch here for helping a client get a funding proposal is it takes essentially next to no time. It takes 1 to 2 minutes. It's very, very quick. There is no cost. And there's a variety of funding sources that could come from that. And certainly it's confidential. So what we're talking about is we could bring someone in directly for a funding proposal. And then if they qualify, then we could use fast track funding. So it would get them funding more quickly. In contrast, we can have someone that is enrolled in Access to Capital, and then they could also have the option to do fast track funding. Once we have done the funding proposal, then we're able to visit with the client about their circumstances. Now, in terms of who's doing this, we'll discuss it more here in a couple of minutes under process. But if you're going to open one of the better credit stores, then you'll be doing this. You'll have the ability to generate the proposals in the field. You'll have the ability to do the soft pulls and so forth. But let's save the who for a few minutes. So in terms of what can happen after the funding proposal, we could certainly introduce them to the Access to Capital program, which has no upfront cost. There is a refundable deposit, but it's not paid until after the first round of funding. There certainly is the 6% performance fee, and we split that, all of that 50-50 with you, but there's no upfront cost. As a subset, so you notice it's indented here, if they qualify based upon the funding proposal, instead of going through the 4-week curriculum, which I think is valuable, but again, some clients want quicker results, then if they qualify, which we'll know from them having done the funding proposal, we could take them to the fast track funding. Alternatively, let's say that they complete the funding proposal and they don't qualify for fast track funding. Well, what that really means is that they don't meet at least one of the 3 C's, right? We've all learned about the 3 C's of funding: creditworthiness, cash flow, and collateral. If they don't appear to have any of those 3 C's, as we can discern from the funding proposal, then they could certainly still enroll in the Access to Capital program, and we can help repair or fix or address those deficiencies. And or they could go to the credit sweep if we see that their credit score is the issue. So do you have to have good personal credit to get funding? Absolutely not. There are different sources of capital that have different underwriting criteria. Is it a good idea to have good personal credit? Of course. And by taking them to the funding proposal here, we're going to be able to quickly discern where they're at from the 3 C's. So again, if you're interested in opening one of our better credit stores, which we've been talking about recently, then you'll be plugged in and doing a lot of this out in the field. So let's talk about the process, and then we'll get into the questions and apply this to what it means to you. So if you want to open a better credit store, then of course we need to know the zip code in which you want to operate. We need to make sure that it's available. And if it's available, then we can hold it for you. It's 100% financing. So while there is a temporary deposit, you get that back because there's 100% financing. We'll get you trained, and James is asking about that. So we have the trainings here in Texas, which is free for the Better Credit Store partners. And then we'll be able to get you set up so you can operate the funding proposal mechanism out in the field. So if you're not opening a Better Credit Store, which is fine, I'm not here trying to persuade you to do that. I'm just saying that it's going to happen out in the field through the Better Credit Stores. Otherwise, we'll handle it centrally for the rest of you. Those of you that are affiliates, credit literacy educators, joint venture partners, will take care of it. If you're operating a Better Credit Store, you'll be trained and supported to do it in the field. So option 1 is that. I'm not saying it's the best option, it's just the first option listed. Option 2 is it can happen very organically. So just as we've talked about, we're providing free landing pages for everyone for the Access to Capital program. It's hard coded to you, so they don't even have to put in who referred them. But the point here is that as of today, we're offering the fast track funding option to all newly enrolled Access to Capital clients. Now, if they're already with us, we can still extend that to them. But what I'm trying to explain is that just automatically every new Access to Capital client, effective today, April 21st, will be given the option to the fast track. Doesn't change your income. It'll probably accelerate your income because instead of waiting for them to go through 4 weeks to build their loan package, we're going to go to funding now. So you'll get paid the same amounts, you'll just get paid quicker. I guess we want to guard against the fact of everyone thinking, well, that sounds like a better option. Why don't we just do away with the Access to Capital? Why don't we just do fast track funding for everyone? Well, the truth is not everyone qualifies for fast track funding. So if they do qualify and they want to go to funding right away, this will provide them that opportunity rather than waiting the 4 weeks. But again, not everyone qualifies. And so the process of building the loan package, building business credit and so forth will be important still to some people to be able to get funding. Okay, so the fast track funding is a track underneath, as it shows inset, under the Access to Capital program. Again, it allows them to provide access to funding based upon their current circumstances. And so if someone comes to us and they want fast track funding, but they don't qualify for any fast track funding, they can't reasonably be mad at us or you or anything else. It's just their current circumstances don't position them for immediate funding. So in that case, we need to go ahead and go through the 4-week process, build the loan package. We're still making the same $100,000 guarantee, because again, we're only going to help a client get funding if they're enrolled in Access to Capital, which has the known fee structure, which we've talked about, which is the $2,500 refundable deposit after the first round of funding and the 6% fee. We split that 50-50 with you. What we're saying though is if we're doing the fast track, we don't have to wait for the loan package to be built out over that 4-week process. We'll just go directly to funding. So they're going to get the same $100,000 guarantee. They're still signing the same agreement, which is now through the landing page, the terms and conditions that we've provided for you. So I guess if we were to state this differently, I just wanted to clarify that you have a couple options. We can drive people in for a funding proposal and assess their circumstances and then use that to get them to enroll in Access to Capital or Credit Sweep based upon their circumstances. And then secondly, trying to clarify that as of today, we're rolling out the fast track funding, which is not a separate enrollment. It's not a separate contract. It's really not a change other than that for those qualified candidates based upon the 3 C's, we can immediately go to funding rather than waiting for the 4-week loan package and literacy process to be completed. So back to the process. So how do you apply this? Well, if you want to open a better credit store, this is going to be very exciting because you're going to be set up and supported to do this in your own shop. And that's, I think, going to be very satisfying to you. Second is we can continue for you to just feed them into your Access to Capital landing page, which we provide you for free. And we will automatically, effective today, as each new client comes aboard, give them the option for the fast track funding. Because by doing that, it doesn't cut you out of anything. It doesn't lower your income. It doesn't change your income. It just takes them directly to funding rather than the 4-week prep process. Option 3 is if you really don't want to do any of that, you can just steer people to fundingproposal.org, which is forwarded over here. And then from that, we can click on this and you'll see what comes up. Then it's going to bring up this page and it's got our contact information, our logo, and our phone number. Our phone number is answered live 7 days a week, not 24 hours a day, but 7 days a week. And so then essentially we just need to do a soft credit pull to assess them for the fast track funding option. And the soft credit pull doesn't cost them anything. It does not impact their credit score because it is a soft credit pull. It doesn't even commit them to anything, but it's what we need to determine, do they qualify for fast track funding? So you can see just some basic fields of information. A couple clicks, they hit continue, and then within just a moment or two, a soft credit pull is authorized, it'll be ran, it'll notify us. Now, again, if you're going to open a better credit store, then this information is going to come back to you to work with the client. If you're not opening a better credit store, then this information comes back to us to follow up with the client on. Okay, so let's go see what questions, concerns, comments that each of you have regarding this. So James is clarifying again the training. So yes, the training for the better credit stores are held here, either in our office or offsite, just depending upon the number of people that are registered. And we're doing those on a monthly basis. The next training is coming up May 7th, very soon. And we have a few seats available for May 7th. So if you're interested in joining us on May 7th, you have to get your better credit store set up. All right, thank you, James, for that. All right. So Peggy says this is good for people who are already ready for funding. That's correct. And some people don't know. And so we could certainly do this to determine if they are ready or not. And if they're not, then that's fine. We take them through the normal 4-week process. But we've had a number of requests from you, from many of you, where clients they just want to go to funding. They don't want to, quote unquote, jump through the hoops of becoming more financially literate and building a loan package out. Now, with that being said, understand that some sources of capital, let's say we're going to go after a big SBA loan. Well, guess what? There's going to have to be a loan package to be approved for a big SBA loan. But the bottom line is different sources of capital have different requirements. Some have minimal requirements. And so by going through this process that we've just discussed, we could very well get them funding without going through the 4-week curriculum. So thank you, Peggy. I think this is valuable as well. Ken's asking about the credit store. So let me go over to the IIMFL website. I'm sorry, it's the 60-day credit suite website. And so Ken, on the 60-day credit suite, we talked about the better credit stores. So we had a training that you can view. This is actually our physical office. I'm sitting right over here. But you can watch this. And if you're interested in maybe running a local outlet, then you just fill this form out here. But yeah, anyone interested in learning more about what we've talked about in the past about opening better credit stores, that is located here on the 60-day credit suite. Thank you, Ken, and welcome to the call. All right, Mark says this fast track sounds awesome, keeps getting better. Oh, no, we just added. What happens is we set these Zooms up and we have to just keep adding more dates, but it's on a reoccurring basis. So just this morning, we've added Thursday and Friday. So you may click on it and say, oh, this is ending. We're not going to have any more Zooms. No, normally every weekday, Monday through Friday, we have it. It's just we haven't populated it on Zoom. We kind of will post a week in advance or so. But periodically things will come up, travel, especially where we might not have a session on a given day, but most weekdays we'll have them. Okay, so let's summarize what may seem a bit confusing and see if there's any further questions. So we had 2 items on the agenda today. The first of which is to clarify that we can offer free funding proposals for prospects. So let's go to freefundingproposal.org. We type that in, and sure enough, I apparently did it wrong. How did I do that wrong? Oh, it wasn't free, it was funding proposal, sorry. Fundingproposal.org. There we go. It automatically forwards over to the Smart Money Alliance website to the funding proposal page. So this is great for people that maybe aren't yet committed to enroll in the Access to Capital program, even though there's no upfront cost, and we could assess what type of immediate funding that they might qualify for. Secondly, then we can use this process to prepare people for the fast track funding, even if they're already in Access to Capital, because again, there's no secret to borrowing money. It comes down to the same thing that each of us learned in school. There's the 3 C's of lending. You have to have at least one of the 3 C's to borrow money, or no one will loan you money. You have to have at least credit worthiness, cash flow, or collateral. Now, the more of the 3 C's you have, the better off you are. But if we have at least one of the 3 C's, we can get funding. So what we do as a technical advisor through the Access to Capital program is help people move from where they're at to where they need to be able to have at least one of the 3 C's. But what we know is some people already have one or more of the 3 C's, and some of them may not want to be necessarily patient enough to go through the 4-week Access to Capital curriculum. So now they can either put their toes in the water by requesting a funding proposal, so we can let them know, yeah, it looks like you could go directly to funding, or if they're already in Access to Capital, then we do now introduce this automatically during their onboarding. Now, just to clarify, so let's say that someone, does the funding proposal, and it looks like they're a good funding candidate, and they say, well, great, I'm just ready to go to funding. We're still going to enroll them in the access to capital because that's how you monetize it, right? If you never enroll them in access to capital off of your landing page and we took them to funding, then you wouldn't generate any income. And so that wouldn't be very fair to you. So we can lead with the funding proposal to see if they can fast track it, but still yet we're going to want them to enroll into access to capital. Otherwise you're not going to monetize it. And that really gets to James' question here on fast track. So ultimately, you're going to want to enroll the client using the free landing page, James, and everyone else that we've provided you, because that's going to give you the 50-50 revenue split of the refundable deposit that's not collected until after the first capital raise. And that's going to get you half of the 6% performance fee. Many of you are licensed insurance agents also writing their key person policies. So again, the funding proposal can be a way to drive people into the funnel, but we're going to need to either get them into access to capital so you can monetize it after the funding proposal before we go to funding, or if credit is an issue, we may want to introduce the 60-day credit sweep, and many of you are familiar with the white label version of that. In case you're not, let's cover that briefly. So on the 60-day credit sweep, there is information about the white label program. And so I'm here on the career page, and this top video gives you step-by-step instructions. And so we have two campaigns. One is to provide access to capital. The other is credit improvement. Of course, there's some overlapping of the two, but we have two campaigns, and that's kind of listed here. Access to capital is one campaign, credit improvements the other campaign. Okay, so let's see what other questions we have here. Robert's asking about the key person policy. So a key person policy is part of a well-designed loan package, just like having a business plan or financial forecast. And the key person policy addresses the third C, collateral. So it is important. Now, do all sources of capital require a key person policy? No, they don't. Do some? Yes, but it's true for business plans. There's some sources of capital that do not require a business plan, but is it good to have a business plan and have it part of your loan package? Of course. All right, so Ken, hopefully I answered your question now. Fast Track's not going to show up on the landing page. So let's go over and talk about what your landing page looks like. So all of you have a landing page that looks exactly like this: the access to capital, a little YouTube video, a little flyer, and then this is where you would input in your leads for access to capital. Now I'm on the main website here, but you'll have a replicated page which is provided free. And so when you feed people into your page, then it's automatically hard coded to you. Notice it doesn't say, well, was I referred by Peggy or Ken or John? The question doesn't have to be asked because your landing page is coded specifically to you. It looks just like this. And as we talked about on a recent training, you can approach it from a qualification perspective and have nearly 100% enrollment. But so the fast track won't necessarily be reflected here. We will, when we onboard them now, effective today, April 21st, we will prompt them to see if they'd like to see if they qualify for the fast track, which means we need to go ahead and do the soft credit pull immediately rather than waiting until later in the process. Thank you, Peggy, for that. So then again, Ken was asking this, and I think we're addressing. So let's go back to the home page of IIMFL for a second. And then if you're not set up already as an affiliate, Ken, it's free and easy to do so. So iimfl.org careers, click the gray box, takes just a moment to get set up, and then watch this video. It tells you step by step what to do thereafter. John asked, am I licensed? Yeah, I've been licensed since 1995. But if you're going to write the key person policies, of course, you would need to be licensed. You don't have to. You don't have to be an insurance licensed agent to work with us, and you don't have to write the key person policies. Not trying to confuse that. Just saying many of you are licensed life insurance agents, and this is a gold mine. I don't know that there's a better way to produce more policies than by helping small businesses get key person policies for their loan package. Okay. Yeah, May 7th is the next coming up training. It's from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. and you'll need to register with us and make sure that space is available. We had an incident back before the pandemic. A gentleman flew in, we're in Texas, flew in from San Diego. He didn't register. We didn't have any seats available. He flew in, came to our office, and we had to turn that man away. You can imagine he wasn't real happy, but he didn't register. So this is not on a walk-in basis. So you'll need to get with us, and our contact information is here at the bottom of the page. You need to get with us and register for training so you can make sure that your seat is reserved. So Robert's asking a good question. And so keep in mind, if the client's going through the Access to Capital program in a normal sense, let's go back over to the Access to Capital page. We're doing the soft pull in week 2. Here with the fast track, we're doing it even before they get started or in week 1. So we're accelerating it. We're so pleased that the credit markets are opening back up, whereby a lot more people are getting funded now than they were in the recent past, because there wasn't a whole lot of lending going on for a period of time. A lot of the banks and lenders were very conservative and not approving loans. But now I don't want to say it's back to normal, but it's much closer. So there's a lot of money flowing through. We're fortunate we're getting lots of clients funded again. So with that being said, Robert, if they have already gone through at least week 2 with you and have done a soft credit pull, that's the trigger that we need to know, do they qualify for fast track funding? Because it's based upon the 3 C's, and we can discern that from the soft pull. But certainly it wouldn't hurt for you to reach out, because each of you are paid based upon clients getting funded. That's how we get paid. This refundable deposit, granted you get half of it, is not a moneymaker for us. We're refunding it back to them, right? It's like a lease on an apartment. So what our goal is to get clients funded, Well, some clients are going to be able to get funded right away, and the fast track is going to get them funded as quickly as possible. But don't misconstrue. Some people are not ready for funding yet. They don't have any of the 3 C's. And so then we'll work with them. And we make a guarantee, we make a promise that we'll help anyone get at least 100,000. But if they don't meet the underwriting criteria, then we need to work with them to meet the underwriting criteria, right? There's not like a magic money tree or a pot of gold. They just signed up and all of a sudden they get 100,000. They have to qualify for it. So the fast track is going to allow all of us to help many more qualified clients. And then those that are not qualified certainly can go through the 4-week curriculum so we can help them get qualified. But in short, Robert, yeah, I mean, reaching out to any of your clients, any of your prospects would be a good thing to do. All right, Joseph says there are people like him who do not have a key person policy certification. Well, I don't know exactly what that means. You're a realtor, Joseph, which is important, but licensed life insurance agents are able to sell key person policies, not real estate agents. And of course, you could get licensed as a life insurance agent as well. And so if you are licensed and you want to write the policies, we encourage you to do so through whatever carrier you want. And if you're not licensed, we're not here trying to recruit you to be an insurance agent. I would focus on what you do well, and there's other people that can write those policies. So don't worry about that, Joseph. Ken's asking about the deposit in the Access to Capital program. There's a $2,500 refundable deposit, and that covers the cost of us building their loan package out. Again, it's refundable, so it's technically not a cost to them. But with that being said, they do pay that after, as all capital letters, after their first round of funding. And Ken, you get half of that. So you'll get $1,250 of that. Once they have completed their capital raise, then they get their deposit back. Just like if you and I went to go rent an apartment, we complete the lease, we get the deposit back. But in your case, we wouldn't come back and ask you for your $1,250 to give back to the client. The grant covers that. So hopefully that helped, Ken. Good question, though. Quentin asked, the 3 C's, does this pertain to a business bank account that has financials going through it? Well, so there are different sources of capital, and each have their own underwriting criteria. Can we get funding for a pre-launch or a pre-revenue business? Absolutely. Is it good if a business is open and has cash flow going through it? It is. It'll open up even more access to capital, of course. So just keep in mind that the more credibility factors that a client has, the better. But we certainly can get clients funded immediately, even if their business is not even formed yet, even if they've not filed the paperwork, they don't have an EIN, they don't even have a bank account, certainly funding is still available. All right, and so Joseph says, I didn't read the whole question. He was asking for a key person to contact within the company to refer clients to. Yeah, we'll take care of that for you, Joseph. So what happens is if they're not doing the fast track, then we're doing the 4-week process, the full 4-week access to capital. And then we build out their loan package, and we'll see that they don't have a key person policy. So if you've not been able to help them with that, then we can get them to Robert or the others of you that are willing to write policies for other people's clients. So you don't have to do anything specific with that. But the recommendation is if you're mentoring clients, as you do, Joseph, it'd make a lot of sense for you to develop a relationship with one or more licensed insurance agents, right? You could refer to them, they could refer to you. So that would be preferable, and that's really what's expected. But we won't let that be a barrier. Okay, so we're 30 minutes in. Let me do a quick summary, but I'm here to answer any questions you have. So on today's agenda, we clarified that we do free funding proposals. And so if we go to fundingproposal.org, it automatically forwards over to the Smart Money Alliance. This is not a new site. It's been around for quite a while, and people can request. They can click here. Takes them a minute or two, and we can find out if they qualify for fast track or not. So this is the same link, the same soft credit pull we use for the normal access to capital curriculum. What I'm trying to describe here is that we can go directly to this for prospects that think they may already qualify for funding. We're not going to work with them for free. So if they've completed the funding proposal, then we're going to give them an accurate understanding of, okay, yeah, it looks like you're ready to go. Let's go ahead and get you enrolled in the Access to Capital program. No money up front, guaranteed $100,000 capital raise. Let's get after it. Or, I'm sorry, looks like you haven't paid a bill on time for the last 8 years. Let's go ahead and let's look at the Credit Suite program and see if we can help address that C. So there's 3 C's, right? Creditworthiness, cash flow, collateral. Technically, there's more than 3 C's. The 4th C is character, but we're going to ignore that for a moment. Which of the 3 C's is the easiest to manipulate? And I mean that legally and ethically. Credit. Credit has no memory and it's fluid. So if someone has none of the 3 C's, so we can't fast track them, then it would be advisable for them to consider what could they do. And we can help them in 60 days modify their credit profile to get funding. And so we can go over back to 60-day credit suite. And so it's getting that ball and chain off. And in 60 days, we can get credit scores up and get anyone funded. All right, Stevie asked, can we fund churches? Yeah, so we work with churches and we work with adult entertainment and everything in between. We're not an organization that is discriminating off of the ethics of the business, whether it be strong or weak, other than the fact that it needs to be a legal business model, of course. Okay, any other questions about what we covered here today? Talked about funding proposals, fast track. What do you take away from this? Well, if you got a prospect that you can't close on access to capital for some reason, and if you use the techniques, let's show you one more time. We had a really good training, in my opinion. It's parked here on the career page that walks you through step by step. Any of you worth your worth a grain of salt, you're going to be able to follow that step by step process and use the concepts that we talk about with using the qualification technique to get nearly everyone enrolled. But if you can't get them to do that, we can always do a funding proposal. And then why we have it highlighted yellow here is we're clarifying, as of today, every new client coming into access to capital, we're going to go ahead and offer them fast track funding if they would like. Well, how do we determine if they qualify for fast track funding? We're sending them a link, and that link is going to allow us to do the soft credit pull right away rather than waiting later in the process. And based upon the information that they provide, which includes the 3 C's, because the output is credit worthiness. It's going to also talk to us about their cash flow and to a lesser extent collateral. We can see if we can go get them funded right now. And then lastly, Ken's asked about leads. And so there's instructions that if you're looking for leads, you can buy leads or build leads. And we talked about that. If you want to buy leads, we don't sell leads, but we can show you where to get those. And you would just email us and we can plug you in. And we've been able to get some discounts on purchase leads. So I'm not saying you need to buy leads. You can go generate your own. But if you're not successful or not competent or don't care to generate your own, you can always buy. Same thing with groceries, right? You can grow your own corn, or you can go to the grocery store and buy an ear of corn. It's up to you. But if you're not generating an adult income through our relationship, you probably need to do something different, and leads are the key. All right. Well, thanks everyone for your time. We will be back tomorrow morning. Have a good day.